Oh, it's a purple. That's right, a purple divisional round Friday. Welcome inside the vault for your Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. It is January 17th. Got to give a happy birthday shout out. It's 25th to TJ Trossett, middle brother in the Trossett fam. Happy birthday, brother. I know he's watching. Partner, we got a lot to get to. You are on the road, as those who are in the YouTube space and on Twitter can see, but that ain't stopping us from delivering a jam-packed Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. That's exactly what we have coming up throughout the course of the next hour plus. It is brought to you by our friends at Mando. You can learn more about them when I tell you about them in our ad read coming up later in the show, or you can get started right now by visiting the show notes and also the pinned comment to see the incentive and our discount code right there. Some procedural stuff, Sarah, before we kind of dive into the content and the rundown as well. Maddy Glab will be joining us. She is a Bills team reporter, an official team reporter for the Buffalo Bills at 12:30. So 20 minutes from right now. Steve Tasker, former all-pro NFL wide receiver, had something come up, and he was very apologetic about it. He and I might tape later on, so be on the lookout for that. I appreciate Steve for being up front. It gave me enough time to track down Maddy, and really more so than anything else, I appreciate Maddy for last minute carving out some time for us. So that'll be coming up in 20 minutes. Maybe most notably, Zay Flowers didn't practice today, according to beat reporters who were tweeting out all this information as we speak right now. But he was seen finishing up a workout on a side field with a knee brace on. So again, he did not practice all week long. That's essentially what I'm guessing today's report will show later on. We know he didn't practice Wednesday. We know he didn't practice Thursday. And unless he shows up as limited today, Sarah, he will not have practiced at all going into Sunday, which, of course, is notable given that he's been unavailable for the last couple of weeks since injuring that knee.
Yeah, I'm reading. I don't know which report you're reading. Everybody's tweeting about it now. But yeah, Jeff Zrebeck says it was tough to take comprehensive attendance today because the Ravens had special teams portion of practice inside and the rest of the team practicing outside. Said, but as media were led into the field house, Zay Flowers appeared to have just finished a workout. So, but I think your hunch is right in terms of, probably not going to be considered even limited if he was finishing workout on his own. But it's a good sign that he's working out.
And my guess is if we go a little bit longer than 1 o'clock, which we've been known to do around these days, John Harbaugh will be meeting, and maybe we'll still be on. We'll provide that if that's the case when he's asked about it, inevitably coming up within the hour. In terms of today's rundown, Sarah, I thought a great place to start was just sort of giving everybody a slight little appetizer, as Roquan Smith referred to the Pittsburgh Steelers as last week, right? We need a little appetizer going into this weekend, being that this is do or die time for both teams. It's MVP front runners. It's gnarly weather. Well, guess what? Ryan Clark and former Baltimore Ravens linebacker Bart Scott, Sarah, this morning, I think gave us everything and more. Maybe you don't even need anything. I saw that there's already massive events going on this morning around Baltimore. Jimmy's Seafood had what looked to be hundreds of Ravens fans, Sarah, at like the 6, 7, 8 a.m. hours, drinking and having a party. But just in case you need that shot in the arm, RC and Bart did exactly that. They gave that to you earlier this morning on Get Up.
This about the weather, though. I remember the colder it got, the more I felt like I could stand out. Because I felt like no matter how cold it gets, it's going to hurt you more when I hit you than it's going to hurt me. And I wanted to prove that every single snap. And you think that Roquan Smith is going to care how freaking cold it is? And he's going to care that Josh Allen is running the football? Because he's going to say, when I put these pads on him, it's going to hurt him more than it's going to hurt me. This is where the real men stand up. You've been living in New York your whole life. You lived in Chicago. You don't like being cold because you don't like being cold. You don't get used to it. It doesn't matter where you practice. It's about your mindset for those 3 hours. And they got coaches on both of these teams that ain't gonna let nobody go out there being soft. And I love this game for that reason. These two dudes, these two teams get to prove it in the worst elements to show what sort of men they are.
How bad do you want
it?
Right, and I'm talking about, like, we talking about, okay, what's the bigger advantage? Josh Allen being tackled by Roquan Smith or Derrick Henry being tackled by a small, undersized defense? I think the advantage favors the Baltimore Ravens because they play a brand and a personnel that is big. Where you talk about the Buffalo Bills, they play nickel package.
I was so excited to share that with everyone, Sarah, that I just skipped the rundown. And also, who is Raekwon? I've never heard of Raekwon. There from Bart.
I don't know that he cares. I don't know that Roquan's just like, just get me on the football field. You can call me whatever you want. But yes, you're right. There is a whole rundown of all sorts of stuff we got to get to. More national media. Chris Broussard bringing on Snoop from The Wire back in the day to tell Nick wrong that he's wrong. And they did this whole bit about it, which was awesome. You already talked about Maddy coming on to preview the game. And then we've got pressers. We haven't got to Derrick Henry talking and Roger Rosengarten. So, yeah, definitely much to get to. But, Bobby, what Ryan Clark said in the beginning there is absolutely true. I get cold very easily. And people will say to me all the time, wait, didn't you grow up in Colorado? Like, didn't you go to college in Utah? There's mountains and snow, and you're out in it all the time. Yes, I grew up in those places. I'm still cold. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can put my husband down in Florida. He will never adjust to the heat. Ever. He wants the cold, and I'm the reverse. It just never adjusts to. So to their point, it doesn't matter that these guys play in Buffalo. Like, do you think that matters? It's to his point, to Roquan Smith or Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter. That's when you get out there and everybody says, ooh, I'm going to prove my manhood. I'm going to prove mine. And then when those hits start coming, and then they keep coming, and they keep coming, my money is on Roquan Smith and Derrick Henry every single time.
Not to mention, right, the amount of pure mass and massive human beings that Todd Monken consistently deploys along his offensive line, whether it's linemen, whether it's tight ends, whether it's a 300-plus pound fullback, whether it's a future first ballot Hall of Famer in the aforementioned Derrick Henry. And I think that's a great segue to share something that Dan Orlovsky put together. And that is how the Ravens beat down the Bills in week 4 and how they can absolutely replicate that again coming up on Sunday night.
I've never seen a team in the NFL do this. In non-goal line situations, put 7 300-pounders on the field and run the football against defenses. To your point, Hannah, this is what it looks like. They'll take those 6 offensive linemen and they'll bring them in and they'll put them across the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then Ricard is the main thing. So those 7 people are all over 300 pounds. The second part is this. These 2 tight ends are lined up on the right, whether it's Andrews and Likely or Likely and Kolar. They're 250 apiece. Derrick Henry, 250 pounds. That means outside of the quarterback, Lamar Jackson, the smallest person on the field is a 250-pounder. What it does, imagine this. I have my 300-plus pound center going to block a corner in run game situations where we can run power right at you. But it's not only running right down the middle of the defense, right? Those 7 people, here it is. Once again, I have 7 offensive linemen, or 7 people that are 300 pounds, plus the 2 tight ends. They're 250 apiece. Smallest person on the field is Lamar Jackson. You take him off, there's 250 and 300 pounds across the board. What does that do? Patrick Ricard is going to be the guy that leads up on a corner. Ricard, while enlisted as a fullback, is really just a 300-pound weapon when it comes to their offense. The space that it's created, the displacement that it does to a defensive line. There it is again. 7 guys that are going to be 300 pounds or more, the double tight ends at 250, and Derrick Henry at 250. We've seen an internal run with power, toss, and then another opportunity to get power where you got big bodies leading. I have so much mass on the field as an offense that defensively you are at such a disadvantage when it comes to the size. Again, I've really seen a team put that big of people on the field in non-goal line, non-short yard situations. And in reality, that's a bad matchup for a Buffalo Bills defense that doesn't play with that amount of size.
Great breakdown there from ESPN's Dan Orlovsky. We had him on the show last year, and maybe we will again at some point, especially to kind of hash out a lot of that MVP talk, Sarah, that I'm sure you're gunning for. But right there, 7 300-plus pound personnel members Todd Monken deploys. Buffalo had very little answers for it in week 4. And while you were here in just a second, the Mike Tannenbaums of the world, former NFL GM, say, hey, it's going to be different this time around because of Milano being back, because of these other players that were out in the middle part of the field or up front for them defensively, that they still have to tend to what Baltimore does best, and that is overpower you.
Bobby, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it my regular mic?
Yeah, you're chilling.
This is the pains of being on the road. I'm in Atlanta right now, for those that don't know. And I'm using equipment that I didn't want to use. I'll have better equipment Sunday night, and I'll still be down here.
Oh, you just muted yourself. You're muted.
You got me?
Yeah. You're good.
You got me, Bobby?
Yeah, you're good. Can you hear us? You can't hear us.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Back.
All right. No worries. No worries. But you see what I'm going with? Like, that breakdown right there, to me, takes out this whole equation or this theory that because several of those players, including Terrell Bernard, Teron Johnson, and Matt Milano, even though they will be back, and those are key pieces defensively, and I get it that Amari Cooper hadn't yet been acquired, right? He hadn't been thrown into the equation yet. But the fact that these guys will be back, sure, that means a lot for Buffalo. But still, they're going to have to tend to what Baltimore does best, and that is overpower you. And that now brings us to how they might do that. Well, you just saw how through Dan's, but Ryan Clark talked about why as well.
Of times there were called runs on the first drive last week for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Here's why that's important. For an entire offseason, we talked about Todd Monken going away from the run against the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe he wanted to prove a point and prove it early. Lamar Jackson's going to carry the ball. Derrick Henry is going to carry the ball, and we're going to play through our physicality.
Justice Hill killed Buffalo the first game. 78 yards, touchdown. He's a matchup nightmare. I think they run the ball over and over and wear him down so that when Derrick Henry gets to the third and fourth quarter, you can't tackle him physically. You can't tackle him. You talk about James Cook. He's a guy that runs around you. Derrick Henry runs through you. It's a different effect.
I think that's all true, but the other element of this game is Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Teron Johnson. Three of the Bart. I know you're a Raven,
Mike Tannenbaum, I promise you this. Todd Monken is in his meeting right now saying, when we go 21-12 personnel, if they put number 7 out there, and Patrick Ricard, if you don't park him on them damn Gatorade jugs,
blind
throw him on top of one of these heaters, I'm taking you out the game. If they do that, they will run until next week.
So right there, those clips go hand in hand. Ryan Clark's mentioning that if Ricard's putting dudes on their you-know-whats, they are going to run until next week. We heard from Orlovsky a minute ago, the personnel that'll allow them to do that. And now Ryan backs that up with, here's how that personnel will do that. So again, it's a matter of, as Roquan Smith put it, defensively, they are going to test your manhood defensively when trying to stop and make Buffalo one-dimensional. Derrick Henry and all that mass right there, the tight ends, the big offensive linemen, right, the way that they're going to run power, that's going to test Buffalo's manhood defensively. And a lot of that manhood, as we've discussed, was not around the first time around, and they are going to be out to prove that there's a difference with what they had defensively back in week 4 and what they've evolved into come divisional round night on Sunday, Sarah.
Yeah, and it's hilarious how he like interrupted him. He felt like the take was so off. He's like, you don't even get to finish your take. Let me get in here. Because listen, I get where Tannehill's coming from, or Tannenbaum, where he's coming from, because it's the starters weren't there. Any team, of course, is better if your starters are back. So yes, could the Bills put up a bigger fight on defense than they did in week 4? Sure. But you know what? The Pittsburgh Steelers had TJ Watt and Hayward Bay and Patrick Queen and all their guys. And the week before, the Browns had Myles Garrett and all of their guys. And these are AFC North bruising teams. And they still couldn't stop Lightning McKing and Lamar Jackson. And so I get his point. Like, will they put up a bigger fight? Probably. Whenever you get your starters, you will. But the bigger point, as Bart is saying, it's still not going to make a difference. To me, if you're going to make a case that the Bills are going to win, it's more that you think that Allen's going to be able to pick apart maybe the Ravens secondary because of Brennan Stevens. Like, to me, that's the bigger argument. The Bills could win this. It would be more of a shootout rather than being able to stop this offense.
And that now brings us to what else Mike Tannenbaum had to say, again, former NFL GM, which sparked a little something internally within Bart Scott. And I swear it's as if his chin straps were tightened, Sarah, adjusted.
He wants out there, Bobby. He wants out there so badly. He wishes that he was back to 28 years old and in this game. He's like, let me in there next to Roquan. I got this, coach.
Just lock in on Bart. I promise you, you will not disappoint. Lock in on Bart during this clip that we're about to play for you. Watch what he does. He gets out of his chair and just watch his demeanor as this clip unfolds. Bart Scott.
Dermott and his means is saying, hey, we are going to stop the run, and if we're going to lose, we're going to make Lamar Jackson beat us because we're not going to give up 271 yards.
You can't stop it with
right. Tell me this. How can it be about physics when it comes to the Rams and the Eagles, but it can't be about physics when you got a 300-pound fullback and a 250-pound tailback versus a sub package? How's that not physics?
With two small backers.
Right. Make it make sense. I don't care if Milano's there. Didn't I just watch Derrick Henry step on Patrick Queen's chest last week?
Bart.
Sarah, look at this face right here.
He's like, okay, Bart. Okay, please sit back down. Please sit back.
look at both faces, right? Tannenbaum's like, just take a seat.
Yeah. He's asking
Bart's
for like right there, and Bart's like, put me in the game.
Bart's like, listen, I heard Simpson was demoted. I'm coming back. Right? Like, look at his face right here. And here's the rest of the clip. It gets even better.
There is no doubt that Baltimore's going to try to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to, but they're not going to run for 271 yards.
Okay,
and that
155.
155, if not 271. Look, we got to rewind that. It cuts to Ryan Clark. For those of you in the audio-only audience, you got to come back for this. Look, RC is reacting to Bart going scorched earth, right, and standing up off his chair. Let me pause it right here. Oh, the camera's on me. Yeah, that's hysterical. And let's not forget,
it's theater for him, just like it's theater for us. Bart Scott is not messing around.
You already know. And just in case just to make sure we don't gloss over the quote, didn't I just watch Derrick Henry step on Patrick Queen's chest last week? That from Bart Scott, Sarah, who knew a thing or two about stepping on chests or stepping on big time tackles during his day.
He's exactly, the way he said it is hilarious, but he's exactly right. We all saw the images where on the long touchdown run where 1, 2, 3 Steelers went with Lamar to Lamar's left on the option read. And then that left Patrick Queen being blocked by Tyler Linderbaum. And as soon as he gets off that block, here comes Derrick Henry full speed. And Queen did not want the smoke. He did not want the smoke. We saw the image where Derrick Henry has his classic, just the grimace on his face as he's running. And he just was, and I said it a couple days ago, to me, he's saying Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. And Queen was clearly giving up, thinking Cabo, Cabo, Cabo. That image is burned into my brain, and clearly it is for Bart Scott too.
Just in case our audience wants to sear all that and burn it into your brain once more, here you go.
How's that not physics?
With two small backers.
Right. Make it make sense. I don't care if Milano's there. Didn't I just watch Derrick Henry step on Patrick Queen's chest last week?
Bart.
There is no doubt that Baltimore is going to try to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to, but they're not going to run for 271 yards.
Okay,
and that could be the difference in this game.
Sarah,
okay, Bart. Okay, Bart.
Sarah, there is so much theater in a 45-second clip. Bart is standing up.
Yes.
Tannenbaum's left speechless at one point. Ryan Clark is like devilishly laughing because he's realizing that Bart's ready to rip it. Dan Graziano's doing a bit. He's wearing a parka on the left-hand side. And Greeny is just trying to get a word in edgewise. What an absolutely legendary little clip right there.
Greeny is like trying to like get control again. He's like, don't I host this show? How do I do it? And he's like, Bart's like, make it make sense if you're going to talk about physics with other teams. What about the physics of this? And Dan Orlovsky set it up perfectly. Outside of Lamar, it's 10 people that are 250 pounds or more and 7 people that are 300 pounds or more.
That was highly entertaining. Yes. And that now brings us to today's sponsor, which is our friends at Mando, back for another run with us. For those of you, the OG crew in our audience, you know that we've worked with Mando before. And right now, you'll find in the show notes, you'll also find it as a pinned comment in the live chat, everything you need to know. And we have a brand new unique link. It's mandopodcast.com/vault. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash or the deodorant wipes, and free shipping on top of that. As a special offer for our subscribers, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack in total. So you can use code VAULT, that's VAULT, VAULT, and visit mandopodcast.com/vault. Maybe, just maybe, you're in that new year, new me kind of phase right now, and you want to work on enhancing the lack of body odor. Maybe you want to invest in this starter pack. And right now, if you go to the link that we have included in the live chat as a pinned comment, it's also in the video description. You can go take a look at what that starter pack looks at. And again, here's everything that I just ripped off. One of which is right here, the Mount Fuji whole body deodorant. We've got the whole body deodorant in, what is this?
Yeah, what do you got there?
Oh, it's in spray form. Okay, it's in spray form. I know your boys probably could use this, being that they're in their teenage years or pre-teenage years. Right?
Yeah, we've got a whole, did you get a new pack?
I just had all of these. I actually had all of these hanging out in my my travel area because I have like a travel area underneath the sink upstairs in the bathroom. And that's a lot of the stuff, because this is like 1.5 fluid ounces. These are all like below 3 ounces. So you can take them without having to check them. So when I went to Europe, I brought a bunch of this stuff. So anyway, I know your boys have taken advantage. I know you got a bunch of stuff over there. The starter pack's a great way to get going. You got a lot of other options as well, including the shopping bundles. Have your boys been using any of your stuff over the last few months?
I assume so, because they're smelling good. I mean, I gave it to them. I don't check up on them every morning. So yeah, I assume so, because they smell good.
Love it.
Yeah.
And
good
again,
stuff.
one of the many that they have to choose from there. You got the cleansing bar. I literally have it all right in front of me right here. The deodorant wipes, the whole body deodorant, so on and so forth. Maddie just popped into the waiting room. She's like, what did I just pop into?
Yeah.
Well, this is
we got to pay the bills, Maddie.
she's got to be thinking to herself, like, okay, I didn't want to hear about his odor, but here we are. So anyway, you can visit the show notes to learn more. And again, use our discount code at checkout, VAULT. And you can learn more in the pinned comment in the live chat and everywhere else around this video. Well, partner, as you know, we're gearing up for the game of the year. A lot of people feel like this is maybe the greatest anticipation leading into a divisional round game, maybe ever, maybe in recent history. And to get the Bills' perspective, we're going to team reporter who's up there in Western New York right now. Can't wait to get a weather forecast for sure. Maddy Glab joins us. Maddy, thank you first and foremost. I told everybody off the top, this was a last-minute endeavor. We appreciate you for carving out some time for us. And as we always like to begin with, what is the current state of the Buffalo Bills entering divisional round weekend?
You know, I think this is a team who started off this season as a team that a lot of people thought, this is going to be a team that takes a step back, because you have a new offensive coordinator in Joe Brady. You've got a new defensive coordinator in Bobby Babich. You lost several captains. You lost big pieces on offense and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and your center and Mitch Morse. There was a lot to figure out with this team in the beginning of the season. A lot of us felt like there was the capability there to be similar to last year or even better, but they had to prove it on the field. And I think we saw a slow burn out of the gate with what this team turned into. At the end of the season, you look back on Buffalo's regular season, and Buffalo's a team who scored at least 30 points in 12 games. They were undefeated at home. And I think they found their way as the season went on. You want to be peaking at the right time. Everybody talks about it at the end of the season, heading into the playoffs. And a lot of our players said entering the playoffs, they still felt like they had yet to play their best game. Certainly games were really good for the offense, and certainly games were really good for the defense and then special teams. But the group felt like they hadn't put it together yet, but they felt like they were building. And I think that's a great place to be in. The group as a whole also feels not as tense as last year. Last year, the Bills had to win every single game to get into the playoffs at the end of the season. This was a group who it was winning in week 18, and you felt the pressure as this team finished out the season and entered into the playoffs. You have a Bills team this year who clinched the AFC East pretty early on and felt really good about where they were with the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. They end up locking up the number 2 seed, and you get a group who's healthy entering the playoffs and a group who feels a little bit more fresh, I want to say, entering the playoffs.
Maddy, thanks again for joining us so on the fly here. Of course, we have to talk about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. These guys have been going back and forth in terms of who's the MVP, who's the front runner, who is not. In Baltimore, Marlon Humphrey, cornerback here in Baltimore, said at the pressers that the defense wants to not just win. I mean, not just play well to win, because obviously that's priority number one, but they also wanted to play so well on defense that Lamar Jackson is unquestionably the MVP. And of course, the voting's already in, but there's narratives that happen. I saw that the Bills players got Josh Allen that MVP necklace. Do you get a similar sense from the players there that Baltimore has here, that they want their quarterback to shine and they're going to do anything to help make that happen?
Yes, 100%. And I think that stems from Josh Allen's leadership this season. I've talked to guys in the locker room about what has set Allen apart this year from other years, and a lot of players have said he's found his voice this season. He's become a different type of leader. He's not afraid to speak up in moments where he needs to speak up, and because of that, because he's taken that step forward in his leadership and is that guy in the locker room, I think the players really want to follow in his footsteps. This is a quarterback, you guys know, similar to Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen is going to put his body on the line for the football. He's going to do whatever is needed to win his team a game. And seeing that he's done that so many times before, whether it's hurdling a player, whether it's diving into the end zone, you get a group of guys who will rally behind him. And we've seen that all year long. We saw that with the offensive line gifting him an MVP or Josh Allen chain in the holiday season. And it just speaks to, I think, the relationship that the guys have with him, similar to the Baltimore Ravens too. You know, you have a quarterback that can do so many different things. And I think a lot of these guys are in awe sometimes of what Allen puts out on the field. And you wanna level up to that. You want to do anything possible to, hey, let me play like you play on Sundays. So I think we've seen a team that's rallied around Allen this season and wants to see him win that MVP, but more importantly, wants to see him be able to throw the football in a Super Bowl game.
Maddy, I'm originally from Albany, which, as you know, is vastly different than life in Western New York. And in a lot of ways, me and my siblings probably can count on one hand how many times we actually went to Buffalo, being that it feels like it's in a different state at times. Obviously, the weather comes into play as well with the different climates all throughout New York. And that's been a major topic of conversation. Certainly not telling you anything you don't already know. But being that you are an in-house reporter, I wonder what you've observed from the team in terms of how they've prepared day-to-day so far this week for the weather component.
Yeah, for the weather component, this is a group, this team, they practiced outside on Friday. They were inside in a walkthrough on Wednesday and inside in a walkthrough on, not walkthrough, I should say inside in a practice on Thursday. So Friday is the one day they've been outside. Now, you saw some guys after practice yesterday go outside and take a few reps because it was snowing like crazy when we practiced yesterday. So I understood why they went inside. It would honestly have been hard to see the football yesterday if they decided to practice outside because it was coming down so hard. Accumulation, though, not too much. I don't think it's anything to worry about. They've been able to clear most of it today. We could see a little bit of snow tomorrow, but the Bills know what it is to play outside in the cold, in the wind, in the snow. And I think practicing inside twice this week doesn't make a difference for their preparation on Sunday. It'll be a very cold game. I know you guys have been looking at the temperatures, possibly in the single digits with wind chill once that game kicks off. So I think this is a group who's ready for it. They practice in it all year round. I mean, I feel like winter here lasts 6 months. I feel like we're in winter most of the year. So the team knows what to expect when it comes to the weather.
That's interesting because both teams ended up going inside the last couple of days. The Ravens have been on Hard Knocks, and they made a big deal about how Lamar kept pushing him to be outside. But then I think it was yesterday, I'm losing track of my days. John Harbaugh said the ground was just frozen. And they're like, we like literally can't. And that made a lot of people like ask the question, well, wait, isn't the ground going to be frozen up in Buffalo? Can you tell us? I know that they don't heat the turf, right? But is there anything that they do to make sure the turf isn't frozen? Like obviously there's a tarp and all that, but how do you expect the field conditions to be?
It might be a little bit harder because it is turf, right? It's not a grass playing surface. So when it does get this cold, I do think the ground feels harder. But they will put a tarp over there to help, I think, keep a little bit of that heat in. I think that's about as much as they can do. If snow is going to be a factor, you're going to see them blowing snow off before the game, during the game, as much as they can. But I just think because of the nature of what turf feels like and how turf changes with the temperature, the playing surface is going to be a little bit harder.
All right. So much has been made of Bernard, Johnson, and Milano not being available in that what became a week 4 blowout, obviously here in Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. My question for you is, even if they were to be available, do you think that Buffalo has the manpower to not just take on Derrick Henry, but obviously all the rest of the mass? We just had a Dan Orlovsky clip right before you came on that sort of detailed what it is that Todd Monken does really well with these heavy packages, which includes 7 dudes who are 300 plus pounds. That includes linemen, that includes a fullback, that includes tight ends in some cases. So I guess the question is, personnel wise, being that they are just about as healthy as they can possibly be right now. I do believe they have 1 concussion protocol, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is it Ray?
Yeah, it's Ray Davis.
Ray Davis, thank you. So do they have the manpower coming up on Sunday night to take down that kind of sheer force that they're going to be going up against?
Our head coach, Sean McDermott, was asked about this like an hour ago. The question was phrased as, hey, a lot of people are saying on social media this is not a good matchup because of Buffalo's defense against the Ravens offense, who just knows how to go heavy with the bodies that they have. And we've seen them use that 6th offensive lineman last week. It's something that Buffalo does a ton of this season on offense. And Sean McDermott's response was, hey, we'll see. You know, we've practiced for this all week. We'll see if we have the bodies to do that. I think our coaching staff and our team believes in the fact that they do believe they can go out there and line up with the Ravens offense and do their best. Now, this is a group who's healthier, and I do think that makes a difference. You have a Matt Milano, who is an all-pro linebacker, who last week I think really came into his own. He had a sack on Bo Nix, and the way he beat down Bo Nix to bring him to the ground was like vintage Matt Milano. We haven't seen that yet. He's such a big part of Buffalo's defense, and seeing him play like himself yesterday, or last week, I should say, I think is a big plus in Buffalo's end of things. Taron Johnson, one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the NFL. He is really good at stopping the run. Derrick Henry is a different type of animal when you talk about stopping the run. Baltimore's offense, I don't have to tell you guys, you know, you're playing an offense that NFL defenses are not used to stopping. So I think with that, you have to get a little creative. I'm very interested to see how Buffalo comes out in the first series when Baltimore's offense is on the field. Buffalo's defense likes to switch things up. They'll get a couple series under their belt and feel it out and say, what do we need to do here? When we go into the locker room at halftime, how can we make adjustments? Buffalo's defense has been very successful at making adjustments throughout the season. We've seen it so much where in the first half, it's kind of like, what's going on here? Maybe they haven't figured it out yet. And then in the second half, they come out looking like a different team on defense. I could see something like that happening. Just because maybe let's say they come out in nickel. This team loves to play in nickel. They do it more than any other defense in the NFL. We know they love to play light boxes. It's tough to play light boxes all the time against Derrick Henry and what they can do with Ricard and a sixth offensive lineman. So I really think how they come out on defense is going to give you a lot of answers. And then after a few series, how that changes. Because we did see more base in week 4 when the Bills and the Ravens faced off against each other. But maybe that was because Buffalo's defense was a little bit less healthy without a Matt Milano, without a Terrell Bernard, without a Taron Johnson. I'm interested to see if, because they're healthy, maybe they do start in nickel. So it's going to have to be a creative game plan, I think, from Bobby Babich, our defensive coordinator. And I'm really eager to see what that looks like because the Bills did not stop the Ravens on the ground in the first meeting this year.
Yeah, Maddie, the way I could see this happening is, they have a hard time doing so again, but you on the offensive side obviously have Josh Allen, who's been playing lights out just as Lamar has. And so to me, I could see this being a back and forth kind of offensive game. I thought it was interesting yesterday, Ed Reed, former, Raven Hall of Famer. Did you see the clip with him and Kay Adams?
Yes,
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so so she's like, teach us, Ed, teach us, like, how do you stop Josh Allen? And by the way, we hear those questions all the time. You go to somebody and say, how do you stop Lamar? How do you stop Lamar? How do you stop Lamar? But here you have a Hall of Famer saying, oh, I'll tell you how. You just hit him, you hit him, you hit him. What's your reaction to that? Do you think that Ed's onto something, or even if he is it easier said than done?
So to that response, what Ed said, I'll say this. Buffalo's offensive line has been playing out of their minds this season. They've only allowed 14 sacks in the regular season on Josh Allen. They allowed 2 against the Broncos defensive line, who led the league in sacks this season. They had 2 on Allen against the Broncos, and the Broncos were averaging around 3.5 sacks per game. So I think that was pretty good on Buffalo's offensive line last week. I think they've done a fantastic job at keeping the pocket clean, letting Allen figure out what he wants to do in the pocket, opening up run lanes for their rushing offense to shine. I mean, James Cook tied for the lead in rushing touchdowns with Derrick Henry this year with 16. So it hasn't been that easy to hit Josh Allen this year because of the way the offensive line has played. Allen is a huge quarterback also. He looks like a linebacker, like a defensive lineman playing quarterback half the time. You see how when he gets out of the pocket and stiff arms a guy or jumps over a guy, that's physical toughness. I don't think it's going to be hit Allen, and he's out of the game, or he's playing like a different quarterback. I don't think it's as simple as that because of the type of physicality I see from him every single week and every single game. This is a guy who played with quite a big injury throughout the first half of the season with his left arm. So I don't think it's as simple as that. I think if he does get hit, and if the Ravens defensive line does get through to him a few times, I think he's going to still be a warrior in the pocket and take whatever blows come for him. And if that's the case, then I think the offense is going to adjust. I think offensive coordinator Joe Brady will figure out a way to make it work if the pressure is coming at them that much. I think we have a very intelligent offensive coordinator, and you see the balance of this offense this year. The run and the pass, the first team in NFL history to have at least 30 rushing touchdowns and 30 passing touchdowns. So I think they can win in multiple ways, and they can spread the ball out if they need to. So I don't think it's as simple as saying just hit Allen, and that's the recipe to shutting down Buffalo's offense.
Maddie, despite only putting up 10 points in that game that we keep referencing week 4, which Hey, for what it's worth, I'm flushing that. I mean, who knows if it ends up being similar in Baltimore's approach, but these teams have evolved so significantly since then. You think about where the Ravens defense was, not necessarily that night, but at that point in the season. And of course, you've seen what Buffalo's done ever since, locking up the 2 seed. So despite only putting up 10 points, you did see some splash plays from Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman and Kincaid. My question for you is, do you think Babbage and Josh Allen, or I should say Brady and Josh Allen, Joe Brady that is, are they going to be keyed in on attacking Brandon Stevens with a big body like Keon Coleman? Because that is where number 21 in Baltimore defense has struggled in the past, and it has been the case throughout much of this year, unfortunately. It's a contract season for him. He's been talked about a lot throughout these last few months, and I would think that he's been talked about quite a bit in their meetings this week as well.
I think this offense has been grinding tape all week and has figured out, okay, this is what we're going to deem as the weak spots on the Ravens defense. I know there's not many, but you have to find some spots where you feel like you can win against. And I think Brady's going to take his shots wherever he thinks he can win, whether that's getting the ball over to Keon Coleman, whether that's attacking the middle part of the field with Khalil Shakir's ability to get yak yards and some of those underneath routes there that Buffalo and Josh Allen have been so successful at doing so this season. If you look at Josh Allen's pass yards per attempt this season and where he's found the most success, it has been in those shorter yardage situations, the underneath routes, the middle of the field. So I could see them, well, Baltimore does have some good players over there. I think I could see Buffalo attacking that in certain ways because they have just been so good at doing so this season. And then I think they do take their shots on the outside when they feel like they do have a matchup that's there. Keon Coleman was a rookie who started out really hot. Then he got injured, and he's been coming into his own a little bit since that injury. So hopefully this is a game where if they're going to go to Keon Coleman, he feels like he's at the point where, hey, I'm back. Give me these 50-50 balls that I can go win against. And maybe it's also Amari Cooper. That's another guy who has caught some great balls that Allen has thrown his way that have been true 50-50 balls that he's been able to come down with.
Hey, Maddy, our last question for all of our guests when we do these preview episodes is, and I know you work for the team, so I know when I worked for the Ravens, I was always going to predict a Ravens win. I wasn't going to be paid by the team and then not predict a win. But do you have a prediction for this game, maybe a score prediction and how you see this thing ultimately ending once the clock hits 0?
I do think it's going to be a hard-fought battle between both teams. I mean, this is Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. This is, I think, what a lot of NFL fans wished for and wanted because of the type of headline you get with two incredible quarterbacks. I'm riding with the Bills. I'm not going to give you a specific score, but I think it could get up there in points. I think these are two very successful offenses, finished second best in the NFL in terms of the Bills and what they're averaging points per game, just over 30. The Ravens are right under that, sitting at third. So I think we could see some high-flying offenses, whether it's in the air and on the ground. The Ravens are going to attack the ground. I think the Bills also might try to do that as well. They've been so successful at doing so at the end of the season, and it's become a big part of their identity is the ability to do both. So I'm going for the Bills. I think they pull this one out. I think being at home helps Buffalo. This is a fan base who's going to get into it. Bills Mafia. I think they're hopefully going to give us maybe a couple delay games, something like that, in Buffalo's favor. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this one, and I'm pulling for the Buffalo Bills all the way.
At Maddy Glab on X, you bailed us out today, Maddy. We appreciate you, and I'm sure your next few days are going to be insane. I'm hitting the bus up tomorrow with an entire tailgate group, so we're going to be at Rec Room Saturday night broadcasting, then Danny South on Sunday prior to the game. Any recommendations? It's crazy enough. I have only been to one Buffalo game my entire life, which means I've only been to Buffalo one time in my entire life, which is what I was referencing earlier on. As an Albany native, that's kind of shocking, but New York's just massive. People down here in the Maryland area don't necessarily know that. What's the one thing that I should be doing? We're staying near the falls.
I mean, you got to get wings. That's the one thing you should be doing. The wings here are fantastic. There's a bunch of favorites that people have, but I think wherever you go, you're going to get good wings. I think this is a town who just does good wings no matter where you go. So I would put that number one on my list. You sound very busy here once you get here with all the things that you're doing, but make time for wings.
Good to know. Easy enough. We appreciate you, Maddy. Have an awesome weekend, and thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Maddy.
Bills team reporter Maddy Glab, kind enough to spend some time with us, which means it is now time for us to reveal our predictions for the weekend. Sarah, I've been grinding over this one, what feels like all week. I've teased a couple times this whole thought of a shootout. I'm not sure if I'm going what the actual definition of an NFL shootout is, but I got something in mind. You want to start us off?
No, now you piqued my interest. I got to hear what yours is.
All right. My two keys to this game really come down. This is how I ultimately decided my final score prediction. First and foremost, time of possession is literally going to be paramount. Like,
for sure.
Time of possession from a Ravens perspective, which goes hand in hand, there's a direct correlation between possessing the football and establishing the run. That's something that I think they'll do from the jump. If you can play keep away in a sense, and you can dominate the game, have long, expansive, sort of methodical drives, just mathematically, Josh is not going to have as many chances as he would the alternative way. That's one. Two, defensive plastering. One thing that Josh and Lamar are all world at, and particularly Josh, what we saw in a couple small doses in that week 4 game, is giving his playmakers a chance, extending the play. His mobility is absurd, and we know that he may not be Lamar, but look, Lamar, if Lamar is on a different stratosphere, then there's like a stratosphere here where Josh is, and the rest of the quarterbacks in the league are down here. And that's not to say that others aren't worthy of being in that conversation as well. But Josh is, we see it. He's slippery. He is super physical. Like Maddy said, he's willing to put his body on the line. That means you have to work. If Lamar is going to take 10 seconds, like we shared earlier this week, who was it that said that? Rashad Bateman said that it's like 10 seconds that he likes to somehow do in his skilled way, his all-world way of giving his playmakers an opportunity. If he gives you 10 seconds, Josh is going to give you like 6, 7, or 8. That means that Ravens defensive backs, the middle part of the field, are going to have to plaster. They're going to have to absolutely stay in the play. And if you do that and you keep Josh off the field, courtesy of this Lamar and Derek run game, and you play clean football, I think the Ravens are going to walk away victorious in a game that will obviously allow them to get to a second straight AFC championship game. I'm not going with a shootout, like I said all week long. I am going to go Ravens 30, Buffalo 24 in a game that the Ravens will pull away from late, but will have control of feel-wise as you watch it throughout.
Yeah. You said it wasn't a shootout, but you got up to 30. I was like, well, that's a lot of points. That's definitely a lot of points. So you're in the vicinity for sure, but not a shootout in terms of like both in the 30s. I got you there. I feel mostly confident in the Ravens scoring a lot of points. Just like you said, like I could see 30, 35, like anywhere in between there, right? 33, 35. It was very interesting to me when you asked Maddy about the Bills defense being able to physically match up against the Ravens offense. You referenced Dan Orlovsky and the Ravens having 10 guys on the field, 250 or more, 7 guys, 300 and more. And she's like, you know what? And she set it up well. McDermott was just asked that. And I was like, here we go. What's coach got to say? And then it's just like deflate. We'll see. Bobby, if that doesn't say a mouthful right there where he says, we'll see, because she talked about, the defensive coordinator getting creative and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, nah, when you got Lamar and Derek and all this, these trucks up front, all the creativity in the world isn't going to help. It's what Todd Monken told Louis Riddick before that Browns game, where he said, you know what? Or it was either Louis Riddick or Dan Orlovsky. I'm getting them confused. I know that they both talked to me before the Browns game. And he said, you know what? Sometimes as an offensive coordinator, I'm like, I feel like I need to disguise, let people not know what's coming. And with these guys, it's just like, what? I'm going to do it, try to stop it. And so when he says we'll see, okay, the offense is scoring points. Here's what I don't know. I'm very interested in how much the Ravens defense is going to be able to slow the Bills offense. I don't think it's going to be a 10-point game again, right? And if it is, holy cow, like hats off, but I feel like they didn't have the receivers or they were young, Coleman being a rookie, all that kind of stuff. They've got a lot of she mentioned the 6 offensive linemen they use a lot. And so that part I don't know as much about. Can they do what Ed Reed said, which is hit Josh? Because Bobby, I have another play seared into my memory when Ravens defensive tackle, not Matabike. Why is this?
Pierce?
No.
Urban?
No. Young, 3rd year.
Big Trav?
Big Trav. Thank you, Travis. He just threw Josh to the ground, and he was trying to pull up. And to her point, Josh Allen is this massive-looking linebacker playing quarterback, and here's Travis just like, "Bah, sit down," and he went flying. And so how much can the Ravens get to him? Because Ed Reed's right, and that's not just the formula for Josh Allen. That's the formula for every successful quarterback. You get in their head by hitting them, but you got to be able to do it. Can the team, the defense that had the 2nd most sacks in the league this year, get it done? Bobby, I'm looking at it. They got 3 sacks in week 4. Okay. And I'm trying to see if there's a total of quarterback hits here. So anyway, point being, I'm going to go. I just don't know what the defense is going to be able to do against the improved Bills since the last time, improved Bills offense since the last time they met. So I'm going to go 33-28 Ravens.
Chat, what say you? Hit us with your predictions in the live chat. We're curious what you guys got coming up on this one. And the Ravens are favored. They are favored. I believe it actually jumped up to 1.5 for whatever it's worth. Let's get to some super chats. We appreciate you guys for being here. We've got more content to discuss with you. We'll begin with Lenny. And before I do, I should reset some things, let everybody know, including Tila, that we have over 3,300 concurrents on this Friday. It's brought to you by our friends. Today's live stream, that is, at Mando. You can learn more by visiting the show notes. And I see folks are already using our discount code VAULT, which you can see as a pinned comment in the live chat. Lenny gets us started, and he says, only way to stop the noise is to win in Buffalo. Hashtag RVA flock. Hashtag get tight lounge. Diamond Bowl.
I finally made another live chat. Will be interesting, the chess match. Bills defense will have to run blitz early. I expect to see the Wildcat Lamar jet motion to combat that early aggression. I do wonder if Monken's going to try to play off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that time, Henry kept it. Like, do you actually give it to Lamar? Like, I just wonder if he's going to play off of that a little bit more.
The direct snap was one of the more entertaining things I've ever watched in among the years of covering Baltimore football. That was absolutely electric.
Just let him cook.
Truth Bearer says, even Orlovsky, the biggest Bills homer, picked the Ravens after he broke down that size advantage. The Bills are cooked. LOL.
Did he in that segment? Did he go on and pick the Ravens?
Truth, let us know. Is that what you're alluding to? Gabe throwing up some love here. He's got 2 of them.
Can't wait for the game. I spent 2 hours this morning reliving having to tackle Todd Gurley in high school playoffs.
What?
Wasn't fun in December. McKing will shine. What?
You played against Gurley in high school, Gabe? That's insane.
Gabe,
Wow.
who are you?
That's awesome. Gabe with another one says, a group of Ravens is called hashtag unkindness. We need to embrace it as the flock and players this weekend. Sod Blitz 34 checking in.
I said it last week. I looked up the players and did the math myself. Baltimore, you did this better than me last time. Baltimore's offensive line plus running back is 110 pounds per man.
310 pounds.
What did I say?
110.
I messed it up. 310 pounds per man. And Buffalo's defensive line and their linebackers are 253 pounds per man. That's a minus 57 pounds per man And it's not insignificant, he says, and that is true.
Great math. And that just kind of speaks to this whole, like, that's what prompted my question. You know, do the Bills have the manpower to respond and have answers for the sheer amount of force that's coming at them downhill for 60 minutes? Time will tell. Richard, a.k.a. Asmodeus, says, I don't know why Buffalo is acting like it's so much colder. We'll see about that, Richard. It's going to be a negative.
What is it today in Baltimore?
Oh, today is balmy. Today's like 30-plus degrees in Baltimore. It's balmy out here. It's supposed to be a -3 wind chill coming up on Sunday night. What was it
the last 2 days where they practiced inside?
Oh, it's been in the – to be honest, I don't even know. It's probably in the 20s.
You're not getting much out of your studio over there?
I got no clue. I mean, let's just see – just to give you like a live weather chat right now. Yeah, it's 42 today. So –
yeah.
Tomorrow it's 43. I mean, there's going to be a significant difference over the next couple of days between. But as Ryan Clark, man, that's the reason why I started the show the way we did with that clip. Ryan and Bart are like, look, between the lines, you think anybody is thinking about temperature? Oh, you're thinking about a do or die moment. And you're thinking about you're on the right side. You want to do everything in your power to ensure that you're on the right side of history, because everybody is viewing this as a historic game with legacies on the line, with a potential trip to another AFC championship on the line. Both quarterbacks have only been to one. So appreciate you, Saad.
Everybody in the chat saying it's been freezing outside, like cold.
It's been, I was going to say, I don't want to downplay it whatsoever. Like Baltimore has been cold the last couple of days. It just jumped up significantly balmy-wise, given the comparisons, particularly given what's going on in Buffalo right now. Richard's prediction.
My score guess, Ravens 35, Bills 17.
James Cady says the Maryland O will reign loud and proud on Sunday. One of the best traditions in sports. Let's show them how we do it. Hashtag Go Ravens, hashtag Vault and Zemba.
Cam Hayward, lesser than Darius Hayward Bay.
K says, or Kai, K. Let me know. Poe's birthday on the 19th. Game on the 19th. Let's go. James Green.
Poe's birthday. My goodness. The Mad Backer at his best, talking about Bart Scott. Woo! When he stood up. Bobby, could you imagine sitting there and then Bart Scott's, passionate like I do, like I get, but Bart Scott is built different from me. And could you imagine debating him on live TV and he stands up towering over you like that? Woo!
Tannenbaum was looking at him like, okay, I get it. I get it, bro. I get
your point.
Appreciate you, James Green. 20 spot for us. Appreciate you. Lil Lyle checking in with a $9.99 super sticker. Dreams, a.k.a. Queon, says, cannot wait until Sunday. It's going to be electric. Lamar will silence the critics even more after Sunday. Hashtag Ravens flock. Hashtag Vault. Dre Dog checking in.
Bobby, if you're not sleeping and drinking energy drinks this weekend, whenever I see you, I'm a dog walk you. Hashtag dog walkers. Hashtag Vault. Bobby, can I try to give you some inspiration?
Salute.
Okay.
Give it to me.
All right. Okay. Last night, I didn't get to bed till midnight. I woke up at 2:45 a.m. Not a single drop of caffeine. If a 45-year-old woman can do that, you can do it too.
Oh,
and
you already
can bring
know.
Energy.
You already know. As someone who's never had a sip of coffee in his life, you and I are lockstep. It's just a matter of probably being gifted that those Ghost Energy drinks. The convenience.
Will you throw those out?
I should.
Away. We need to give a giveaway of your energy drinks. Here we go.
Speaking of, I feel like we should probably tease this. Two things, one of which you aren't aware of. Manta sleep mask giveaway coming up next week. Officially reached out to them. So we have a Manta sleep mask giveaway coming up next week. And then most importantly, and maybe I should ask you before I do this publicly, are you down to announce what we have coming up for the post-game show Sunday?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we are fired up about Sunday's giveaway. And it's funny to be fired up about something that we aren't getting, but I think it just speaks to our gratitude for our audience, to give away yesterday's rug courtesy of Gordon, and then the Maryland flag last weekend courtesy of Dave, and the Homage Wednesdays. Like, it's just fun to see you guys having fun and being fired up about a giveaway. On Sunday night, courtesy of Preston Automotive Group, we're giving away a Kyle Hamilton signed football, regardless of win or loss. So come on out. I'm fired up about that one because
Kyle
think about it.
Hamilton signed football. You all better
Yeah.
be here. I was going to say win or lose, but let's not put that energy out there.
Yeah.
Y'all better be here post-game, post-Buffalo,
Yeah.
post-Ravens game to get your shot at the – Kyle Hamilton's an all-pro. He was an all-pro in his second year.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is going to be a legend for life. Get your shot to get that autographed football.
We're excited about this one, and we got to raise the stakes a little bit too. I think we're setting a baseline super chat at 10, did we say?
We said 10.
Is that what we said? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're looking forward to it. We want to say thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the chance, and don't know what that just made me think of it, but Dre Dog, I'm blaming you.
I just got to highlight a couple. I won't pull them up on the screen, but some of these chats are cracking me up.
Yeah.
First of all, somebody said they don't want the giveaway of your energy drinks. And they're like, we don't need that in our lives. They know it's poison.
Fair.
Then Daniel says he's about to cash his food stamps for Sunday to get that Kyle Hamilton ball.
You guys
Please
are
don't do
unbelievable.
that. Please don't do that.
You guys are incredible. Cannot wait.
right.
So that's what we got going on. Dre Dog, thank you for getting us completely off schedule here. Richard says, I love my bison burgers. Let's go Ravens. And he hit us with another one. We're trolling, but thank you for coming by, Maddie. No, who was trolling Maddie in there?
They weren't bad. I saw them. They weren't bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Richard. And Richard was just up there in Buffalo. So he got the whole experience, Western New York last week for the wild card round.
Unless I missed one was bad. I don't want to speak for all of chat, but when I looked, there was nothing too bad. Okay, here we go. Jang says, I was feeling optimistic about the game, but Bobby felt the need to mention Stevens. Now I'm nervous again. Thanks, Bobby. I feel like I've mentioned him a few times this week. I'm not going to lie.
Jang, you already know he's being looked at. He's got a target on his back. It's getting bigger and bigger by the week. I want to see him answer the bell coming up on Sunday night. Chris Dixon says, Bobby and Sarah, thanks for the discount. I ordered my Mando. That's great to hear. And again, I mean, do I have enough stuff over here? The whole body deodorant, the deodorant wipes. I mean, I should just start dousing myself in this right now. I'll smell good for the rest of the week leading into Buffalo. You got the cleansing bar, the bourbon leather, which is the body wash. That stuff smells elite. You got the whole body deodorant cream. I mean, what's this right here? The spray that I was trying to figure out. There's some stuff. There's so much that they send. I don't even know what all of it is. So thanks to Mando. Deshaun Davis says Josh is about to get bodied by A.D. Washington, which reminds me, I kind of want to play this right now just because it's convenient, Sarah, but he had an awesome opportunity to join the great Richard Sherman, which was obviously a cool moment for our Darius, being that he grew up watching him. And the weather component came up. And if you're not ready to run through a brick wall an hour into this show, 70 minutes into the show, you might be in a second here.
The boys from Shreveport, Louisiana, going to get ready for this 8-degree weather. I mean, I know you've been in Baltimore long enough, but 8 degrees is 8 degrees.
I'm going to get ready for it. You know what I mean? I'm going to get ready for it. I'm going to be out there. We playing football. You know what I mean? So when I'm between those, I ain't thinking about how cold it is. When I get to the sideline, I'm like, okay, maybe a little cold out here. But when I'm out there on that field, hey, I ain't thinking about no weather, man. I'm thinking about making this play right now.
Watch your head. Pop, pop.
If there's anybody that I believe that they say that, it is our Darius Washington. That man wants all the smoke, rain or shine, sunny or cold. He wants it all. And he for sure would put his body on the line if Josh Allen was coming right down his lane. He's not stopping.
Quick little nugget here. John Harbaugh, as promised, is at the podium. One of the first questions he was asked was regarding Zay Flowers' status. And as no surprise comes, he just refers to it as he has a chance. Zay Flowers
he probably says there's going to be an injury report out later today.
Has a chance. And he did acknowledge that Zay didn't go through practice. So he will be a DNP all week long. And the question becomes, over the next 48 plus hours, will he be able to give it a go come Sunday? Do not expect him to be a participant when the injury report comes out later today.
I was going to say, I interpret that as he doesn't really have a chance.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I could be wrong. Miracles happen every day, but I'm not. I'm not banking on it.
Tinsay for you.
No team has beaten Baltimore more times than ourselves. That's the truth.
Yeah. Richard just throwing them all around. Richard, you know today's not a giveaway, right?
Yeah, that's Sunday.
Go to Anchors, where Buffalo Wings started. for food on the way home, go to Double D's in Garland, PA. Also, Canada is 30 minutes away. I am going to try and step foot in Canada for the first time. It's crazy. I've traveled all throughout the world, never been to Canada, and it literally is like 4 hours from my front door in Albany growing up. I never went to Montreal, and I definitely want to do Niagara Falls. I think I might get up early.
What are your parents doing not taking you to Niagara Falls when you're that close?
I know. Isn't that funny?
I gotta talk with Miss,
you know what,
Leslie and Francis.
But you know what, though? It really does speak to how parts of New York feel like they're different states. It's huge. Buffalo is so far from Albany. It's like 5+ hours. Now, granted, is that far? No, when you traveled the way we have. But anyway, I think I'm going to get up early on game day and hit a couple different things. But that requires me getting to bed early the night before. And apparently we're tailgating for hours, meaning like pregame show the night before. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Tiny Tim Gaming, this is you.
I think Burrow is better than Allen, and we see how those games went. 42-10. Love you both. #Vault.
We love you more. Yvette says Vault. #Vault. BTA with 20 exclamation points. Belt to arse for those of you who aren't aware. Devil Dog 0352 for you.
Morning, Bobby and Sarah. After hearing Maddy talk, I'm 70-30. Ravens win. We'll see. Means Buffalo is using nickel 5-6 defensive backs and will let Lamar run. 38-28 Baltimore W.
Sarah, everyone appears to be observing what we observed with those comments, and I think that they were undeniable. Sean McDermott's words. Daniel Rodriguez says, Sarah, I hope you're proud of the chat today, LOL. Maddy was great, but it's our time. What people aren't seeing is how locked in Lamar is. #Big Truz.
Let me just say this, and everybody can be who they want to be. Like you guys do how you want to do. However, I don't care if people, you know me, if it's about football, you can debate and you can go hard all day long, including against guests. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you want to debate guests about football, that's fine. It's more about making jokes when people are engaged and, in a relationship or married and all that. Then it's like, what are we doing here? That kind of stuff is more like, let's behave there.
I will tell you, Samantha is a great sport. She had some fun with it in our DMs, in our little trio DM, and she is awesome. I'm a huge fan of her. So
awesome.
You never know. People don't always take that stuff in stride. She certainly did earlier this week. Sea King of the Seas says Lamar doesn't make it right, by the way.
Yeah, be careful there, Bobby.
Doesn't make you right now, all right? Let's take it easy out there. Everybody's taking liberties on me. Sea King of the Seas says Lamar is hoisting that trophy this year. And another one from Gabe, who follows up an answer to your question.
So Gurley went to high school in, oh my gosh, am I going to say this right? Tarboro, North Carolina. Played him 2 years in a row, and I finished the first game concussed. Oh, jeez.
Wow.
After their fullback and offensive line comboed me as a cornerback. Not fun. Gabe, thank you for that entertaining comment. Woo!
Dude.
So he had to take on Gurley, who was running behind this fullback and offensive line that gave him a concussion as a cornerback. Holy moly. Gabe.
Dude, Gabe, if Gurley, I'm not telling you something you don't already know, if he didn't get hurt at the NFL level, man, what if, right? What if? Omar Sherman dropping in $1.99 today. Same thing with Samuel McDougald, who says it's 30 and sunny here in Buffalo right now. Go Ravens. So boots are already on the ground. Ooh. Good to know, Sam. Let us know what else we need to know. And I'll be up there tomorrow, late afternoon. Bird.
Carl Sheffers is the head ref on Sunday. He seems to favor the home teams with calls. It will be a game where Baltimore will have to win by 21 just to win by 3.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've seen that tweet before. I don't know. There's trends, but I don't know that any refs favor anybody. You know what I mean? Like purposely or anything like that. But the one thing that scares me that a super chatter brought up a couple days ago is the Ravens' old selves reappearing. I've covered the Ravens long enough to where in the regular season they have an issue and then it seems to be solved, and that only for that issue to reappear in the postseason and it becomes their demise.
Yeah. And
so I need a clean game in penalties and turnovers, because if they do that, I honestly feel like the Ravens got this. Just be clean in turnovers and penalties, and you can win this on the road.
Richard says obedience leads to freedom. Let's just run with Henry and Lamar, and when opportunity arises, Lamar will dice them up through the air. B. Steve, speaking this into existence, gets an interception. Wow. James Lee Wiley.
I drove a call hauler backlog in the 70s and picked up in Buffalo. Believe me, in the morning, there would be an inch of frost on those cars.
Yeah, it's no joke in that part of New York. DJ Bowflex says, darn, caught it late again, but love y'all. Ravens win 35-10, which is hilarious because that was a score back in week 4.
No. And by the way, even though it's late, we still got a lot of content to get to, including First Things First with Chris Broussard and Snoop, which is hilarious. We're getting to that right after these super chats.
D-Fretch for you.
Rosengarten, greater than signed Von Miller. Go Flock, #Vault.
Dave's showing us some love because the show rocks and the S&P is killing it. And another one from Gabe.
What if I would have moved, kept some brain cells, SMH?
Louis with some love for your past life. Miss Sarah's late for work every weekday. Bless the #the vault. Appreciate you, Louis. And OG Pearled.
Whoa, dummy. 22 is going to have a game. Just play clean.
Which now brings us to a man who, Sarah, if he ever wants to visit Baltimore, I know he lives out on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken, but should he want to visit Baltimore, I don't envision him ever paying for a drink or a meal ever again based on what he's been up to and the way that he has ingratiated himself to this fan base. And that individual that I'm speaking of is one Chris Broussard. Take it away.
We got to try to DM him because whether he's in Baltimore or not, we got to get him on this show. So, yes, this segment was absolutely insane. We'll start with Kevin Wild. So what the question was posed to, I got 2 clips. The question was posed to the panel, who is under duress the most on Sunday? And obviously they're talking about players. But Kevin Wild turned it around and said, nah, it's not going to be a player that's under duress. You got it all mixed up.
I am putting Lamar critics on the Bud list. Now, all year, any spectacular Lamar performance could be spoiled with a sprinkle of, I need to see it in the playoffs. 5 touchdowns against the Bucs. Can he do it in the playoffs? Passer rating of 158 against the Broncos. But can he do it in the playoffs? 2 touchdowns and 81 yards rushing last week against the Steelers. Yeah, but can he do it in the playoffs? That was the playoffs. It's a moving target of criticism, not totally without merit, but a little bit. This Monday, Brew, it will be Lamar's critics, not Lamar, who is officially under duress.
Well, let's just stop fooling around. The critic we're talking about is Nick Wright. He's sitting right there to the right of you, Wild. And I've been trying my darndest. I presented statistics. They've gone head to head. And Lamar has been better. He's got the hardware. He might be winning his 3rd MVP, and Nick still will not listen to my logic. So I had to bring in some reinforcements. I had to make some calls down to Baltimore and get my girl Snoop in the house to take care of this stuff.
Because, Nick, you playing games, man.
That's right.
What it is, man.
Okay, we're going to get back to Snoop in just a second. I needed to cut it here for so many reasons. We got to back up here for a second. First of all, Kevin Wild's being like, no, it's not a player that's under duress. It's going to be Lamar's critics that are under duress. That's how much Kevin believes in Lamar this Sunday going up against the other MVP frontrunner. Then on top of it, he is speaking to what has been going on for years, which is that anytime Lamar has success, people try to rob it of him. They try to rob it of him. Oh, but can you do it in the playoffs? And it cracked me up when he said what he did against the Steelers just last week. And they're like, yeah, but he can do it in the playoffs. And Kevin's like, that was in the playoffs. And Bobby, this is massive. They're about to play this, a reaction to this stat that I've got up right here. Oh my gosh. Lamar Jackson's playoff record his first 4 games versus his last 3 games. Okay? His first 4 games in the playoffs, he was 1-3. We know how it started. And boy, was he young. Most people were still in college by the time Lamar led the Ravens to the playoffs. When, by the way, Joe Flacco, the veteran, and this is no hate to Joe, he brought us the Super Bowl, but that year, facts are just facts, they were not having a winning season. And when Joe was injured, Lamar came in, and I believe they won like 6 or 7 in a row to make the playoffs, okay? Most guys that age were still in college, and Lamar came out and did that, but 1-3. Last 3 playoff games, 2-1. Passer rating in his first 4 playoff games, 68.3. Bobby, it goes through the roof the last 3 games, 103.1. Completion percentage, 55.9 versus 65. Bobby, it was a whole 10 percentage points higher. And then the touchdown to interception ratio in his first 4 games, 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Look how clean this is the last 3. 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. Bobby, young Lamar Jackson versus veteran Lamar Jackson is not the same thing. Lamar Jackson under Greg Roman is not the same thing as Lamar Jackson with Todd Monken. Lamar Jackson with legitimate receiving targets is not the same thing as Lamar Jackson being young with not great receiving targets. He's a different man now, and that's why I think Kevin is absolutely right, where it's just like, you guys are going to be under duress, not Lamar.
You think about that left-hand side of the column. We're talking about a rookie season, to your point, wild card loss to the Chargers, right? In a game that they didn't even, many believe throughout the NFL, they were shocked that they were there, right? That he went 6-1 down the stretch to even qualify them for that opportunity. That's 1. 2, the clunker the following season in the divisional round after going 14-2, big Truz, bursting onto the NFL scene, first MVP season, so on and so forth, and coming out flat against Tennessee. And then from there, I believe it was another game against Tennessee, and then the divisional round loss to Buffalo where he was knocked out and concussed. Right? Those are those first 4 games, if memory serves. The last 3 have been, of course, this past week against Pittsburgh, his greatest playoff game so far, albeit a small sample size. The AFC Championship last January, and that stellar second half the week prior in the divisional round against Houston. So this just, again, speaks to what you and I have been yelling from the rooftops for what feels like weeks. It really hasn't been that long. It's, what have you done for me lately, Lamar? We're not going to hang our hat on the left-hand side of that column, and I don't think Chris Broussard is either.
No, and I cut this part out. We're going to get back to Snoop and all that, but win 70% of career stats. Look at the guys that Lamar is with. Mahomes, another stratosphere. He's got an 800 career record. Tom Brady, 75. Roger Staubach, 73. Then there's Lamar, 72.3%. And then Joe Montana after him at 71.1%. Like, he's among the greats. So now at this point, Bobby, we got to get back to the actual audio of what's going on in here, because now that Snoop is out there, things change a little bit here. They go right after Nick, as they keep calling him, Nick Wrong. And Snoop is absolutely cracking me up. Here we go.
The playoffs, niggas, look at his record in the playoffs. Man. He was a young boy back then.
He was young.
Young boy. In the last 4 years.
You see the stats.
Look at it. 2-1. Great passer rating. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 7 touchdowns overall, including runs. I mean, again, he is a changed man.
Man, listen, man. Nick, when we win this Super Bowl, we going down New Orleans. You know what I mean? Because my brother, man, told me that you a hater. You know what I mean? You always hating on Lamar. When we win this Super Bowl, we go down here, you got to get your gangsters. Shawnee got to do your hair, man. Like, man, Lamar, you got to get your gangsters.
Finally, look, we don't have to go to ancient history and all that stuff. This was this year. They played in week 4.
You see
and
that?
Lamar and them ran all over.
You see that? Your boy Allen ain't doing nothing, man. You got to be with Lamar. Come on, man.
Snoop, when they played, In fact, it was in Baltimore. The Ravens invited the Bills into their house.
We always invite people. Come on down.
They sent them into the kitchen and said, what? Get me
a sandwich
with some
chips.
And we gonna wash it down with some
a soda pop.
That's right.
So, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. The fact that Chris Broussard pulled that off when he always says those classic lines, soda chip, pop, and all that. But he also says, put on the TV, you know, The Wire. And then he gets Snoop. Like, it can't get any better than this. Go ahead, Bobby. What were you going to say?
I'm just, for those keeping score, in under a calendar week, Chris Broussard has pulled off an a cappella group that essentially proved his point and went after Nick Wright in a playful way. And now he brings in the legendary from The Wire, Snoop, to also help him reaffirm his point, also going up against Nick Wright, all in 1 week's time. Chris is a lot. Look, I can't speak to this because I'm not a native Baltimorean. I think I can speak for a lot of you along these lines. It seems to me like he's welcome in this town anytime, any day.
Oh, we've got it. We got to get his number. We got to have him on here. And we got to get ourselves some purple robes, and all of us can be wearing it with our shades. If the Ravens win on Sunday, we've got to make this happen. He's got to do his bit on the vault.
I'm gonna promise you something right now. If they make this run,
yeah,
I will put on what's the right word for this? I will put on a vicious guest booking hat.
Yes.
And exhaust all possible resources to ensure that we get him.
We got to get him.
All right.
I want to say it, all of us together. Soda pop, sandwich. Anyway, back to Snoop. She was phenomenal. And it made me this morning want to go read a little bit more about her. I obviously knew she's from Baltimore. I knew that she was on The Wire. I knew all that. But I didn't know her whole background. And when I tell you she had a tough childhood, and has obviously turned things around. But so when I was reading this, what's his name? Stephen King, horror writer, right? Novels. He called her the most terrifying female villain in all of TV. Stephen King said, and I bring that up because I didn't bring it in as an audio because it doesn't do it justice. They allowed Nick Wright to try to defend himself. And if you thought that Tannenbaum looked nervous next to Bart Scott, and I'm sure this was all a bit that they pre-planned, but he starts to be able to defend himself. And as he's looking into the camera zoomed up on him. Suddenly the camera zooms out and Nick Wright is sitting next to, I'm forgetting his name, but he's next to another panelist. And she comes up and she pushes him to the side. She's like, excuse me. And as Nick Wright is talking, she comes on here. I've at least got a screen grab of it and starts petting his hair. Just like petting it. And he's like as awkward as can be, trying to finish his sentences, and then she brings back the line that she had used before. Come on, Nick. We got to get you some little gangsters in here. We got to get you some little gangsters. Want to get some cornrows in there. And like he turns his back to her and she just keeps petting him. And it's just like, what is she going to do to me? I don't know what she's going to do to me. Maybe flashbacks to like her going and buying a nail gun at the hardware store. I mean, who knows in those movies, but the entire bit was so well done. From start to finish, Nick playing into it, Snoop playing into it, Chris, Kevin Wilde's like hands down. Yeah, I mean, you brought in a great clips earlier, but that was more raw and real. This was just a good bit that they put on.
Oh, this screenshot I think will live in infamy right here. Look at these two. She absolutely nailed it. And Chris Broussard, having pulled all these strings over not just the last week too. You think about the bit. When you talk about television and the script that these folks follow and the way they produce television on a daily basis, this goes back for months. I'm pretty sure Chris chose the Ravens back-to-back years. He was heartbroken like everybody was last year. And then he came back on this revenge tour. And so this has been, for those who follow along with this show, I'm not telling you guys anything you aren't already aware of, but this has been months in the making. And so the fact that he's culminating it this way, it's just highly entertaining. And we're going to try our best, especially if the Ravens win, to get Broussard inside the vault, because I think he would make for a really fun conversation.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
We got to get it done.
Done. All right. Let's get to some quick hits and some super chats. Let's see. We left off
pressures. Pressures, the quick hits. Okay,
Yep.
I got you. All right. Gotcha.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's get to some more super chats, though. How about that? Let's see. We left off with OG. So that brings us to Jang. Let's make sure we put a couple different things up so we can remind everybody who our sponsor is, and that is Mando. People are already using the discount code. Jang writes, in other news, Sarah, you should go to Seasons 52 restaurant. I used to live in Atlanta, and it's one of my favorites.
Oh, nice.
There you go. And Hunter.
Going to be in the negatives in Denver this weekend. Might have to sit outside for game prep. He's trying to. That reminds me of former Ravens center who was it Flynn who got his helmet out and put it next to him.
Matt Flynn.
Yeah, Matt Flynn.
Yeah.
Like as if like he's fully dressed as if he's going to be in the game, watching it from his couch. That's Hunter here. He's going to go outside to prep for the game. Love the show as always. Let's go Ravens. #for the vault.
Hey, Hunter, whatever you decide on, if there's like a Ravens bar or whatever, can you hit the live chat with it out there in Denver? My sister has become, just because of our show and my life the last few years and the fact that she went to Loyola with me and was in Baltimore for a while, she's become a huge Ravens fan. And she's been looking for places like establishments, bars or whatever to go to on game day. So if there is one that you are aware of, just hit me up in the live chat, will you? Brimey writes, Pittsburgh's familiarity versus our team, plus their defense, has more playmakers. Couldn't stop us. Also, look at the Bills' 8-0 home record. Besides Kansas City, it was a joke. So basically just pointing out the strength of schedule or lack thereof. And Scott S.
AFC East must be nice. Ravens 27, Bills 17. Ravens play methodical on offense and defense hold strong against the run. Score looks closer than the game feels.
Louis with another one. Lamar critics move the goalposts more than a field rushing mob of college students. #stacking seasons. You want me to do this one from Devil Dog? Or you got it?
Yeah, you got it. No, you got it. I butchered the last one.
All right, Devil. Let's see what you got for us today or this time around. The ref statistics through the wild card. Sheffers, 180 penalties for 1,448 yards negated, 222 flags in total. Hussey, he's going through all the officials here and their numbers. Hussey, 184 for over 1,500 yards negated, 213 flags. X Crew, 186 for over 1,600, 214 flags. Blake, 190 for over 1,400 yards, 235 flags. Clark's Crew, 191 for over 1,500 yards, 230 flags. Just play disciplined.
Because the point is the crew that's going up this weekend isn't any worse than all these others. That's kind of the point here, right? So he's got 180, 184, 186, 190, 191. That's why he's saying just play disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's my takeaway from what he's trying to say there.
That's all.
DMV Nation. Daily.
And DMV was becoming a daily type of thing. Generosity inside the vault on our live streams, just dropping it out of the kindness of his own heart. 1999 super chats, DMV. We appreciate you, man. Let's get to some quick hits. And now we got to do a little bit of this. Albert Breer, NFL reporter, noting that Todd Monken interviewed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as their team account confirmed, by the way, last night. And Chicago today, Monken was one of the names that Chicago discussed early on in their research, according to Albert. He is originally from outside of Chicago. And so, as Albert says, he's been on their radar for a while. And I'll also pull up some comments from yesterday. His full transcription, Sarah, when he was asked about this, Bo Smoka tweeted it. Kyle Barber asked it. And it was essentially, hey, what's your response to the worries or concerns that fans have when they see these reports that you're interviewing? And Monken was quoted for saying, well, first of all, I'll just say this, as I said last week, it's a compliment to this organization, our players and our coaches, that other organizations have an interest in myself or any of our coaches. That's just a fact. That's how it goes. Any of the work that I needed to do for any interviews that were, this is key. This is interesting here. any of the work that I needed to do for any interviews that were going to come up during the season, I did in the off season. I'm not sure how you know that, but maybe you try to forecast it. So all of my focus last week was on the Steelers, and all of my focus this week is on the Bills. I love the job I have. I really do. And I have a great job here. The way the system is set up is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm excited to play the Bills. That's where my mind's at. So essentially kind of echoing a lot of your concerns out there, audience, who wonder and question why the NFL allows teams that are looking for vacancies or that have vacancies to talk to potential candidates like a Todd Monken, who is still in it, like Detroit's offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, who's still in it, who's still in the race. That's just kind of how it goes. And Sarah, from what I understand, this was a virtual interview. And I don't believe any prep, although Todd is saying that he did potential prep in the offseason. I don't believe any prep is required for these. That's maybe down the line when you have your in-person, they fly out type of thing. So it's preliminary, but that's how Todd answered the questions yesterday.
Yeah, and like these are questions that happen with coordinators around the league every single year. And fans are like, wait, should you be doing this right now? Like we're in the middle of a playoff run. And to his point, like the system is what it is. So unless the NFL is going to change it, I don't know what you're going to do. Pretend that you don't want to be a head coach someday and say, no, thanks. Yeah. I don't know. To your point, him talking about all of the preparation he needed to do, he did in the offseason. First of all, that's that's a pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Big time move. Big time, big timer. I'm just going to anticipate that I could get head coaching opportunities.
Right.
A lot of confidence in himself there, feeling like I'm going to have a good year. And he has. That's number one. Number two, I kind of wonder if he had some sort of presentation of his coaching philosophy already put together,
sure.
Because they can see what the Ravens are doing. So maybe his coaching philosophy and what he would do with teams is maybe more kind of in there that he did in the offseason. So, but listen, it would be nice if there were a date, right? Just like there is with free agency, where there's a date where you can start talking and start having head coaching conversations. And that date would be the day after the Super Bowl, but it is what it is. And so, but do I think it's going to distract him? I really don't. Like I said, I'm down. We do this every day, Bob. We were talking about it before we came on. I was up till midnight, got up at 2:45. I'm down here in Atlanta. I'm here with my son for a competition that he has going on. And you just figure it out. And I figured out how to get the show in today. And I'm going to be by my son when it's time and he's in his competition. And so you just figure this stuff out and you can just go hard and get everything done at a high level.
I'll also mention too, think about his familiarity from his time at Georgia and the amount of kids that they send to the NFL every single year with some of the personnel that might be made up of other teams. He spent several years at Georgia. He was heavily involved in that program, heavily involved in that recruiting process. So, there's a lot of Georgia players, I guess is my point, all throughout the league. And you think about a vacancy like Vegas with one of the greatest rookie tight end seasons ever by Brock Bowers, who had a ton of success under Todd Monken at Georgia. Just one of the things you think about when you look at some of these opportunities that are out there for him. Ed Oliver is a defensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills who had a rough go of it. Pretty much everybody defensively did in that first go around back in week 4. But I liked what he had to say earlier this week at his media scrum. And here's why. I think when Derek was signed, Sarah, on day 2 of free agency back in March, you started to kind of hear those Kobe and Shaq comparisons make their way through the fan base. You'd see a lot of images that were photoshopped and AI stuff. And then it started to make its way up to the national media. And so we even did a show on it, I remember. But when the opponent is making similar kind of comparisons, I think it hits a little bit different. And that's exactly what Ed Oliver did, sharing a story or an analogy in this case that was shared to him and the team by their defensive line coach this week.
Difficult it is to deal with a guy like Lamar where the play is never over. Kind of like Josh, for that matter.
Our coach had a coach said something that really stuck with me, and he was like, he's like Kobe Bryant, and how you can't necessarily stop Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's gonna get his at some point, and that was a great analogy. Lamar's gonna get his at some point, and And we know that, and everybody knows that, and everybody watching knows that. We just have to limit him, but he's going to get his. We all know that. We all aware. We're not ignorant to the fact, but he is. Matt, our D-line coach, kind of made that analogy. He like Kobe, he going to get his, So, he basically, what he said was he's a one-off player, basically kind of like Kobe, and Kobe's going to get his. You can try to limit him, but at some point, Kobe's going to get him.
Ed Oliver there, again, kind of relaying an analogy shared to the team defensively by their defensive line coach. And you heard it there. Our coach said something that really stuck with me. He's like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's going to get his at some point. And that was a great analogy. Lamar's going to get his at some point, and we know that, and everybody watching knows that. And I saw some in my mentions say, man, is he already like in a defeated mindset? I couldn't think more of the opposite. It's more along the lines of like, you just understand that the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, so on and so forth, they are inevitable. It's just a matter of, can you withstand their inevitability, the game within the game? And so I appreciated those comments from Ed Oliver there.
To me, it's kind of like the Isaiah Thompson story that we played a clip on.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Jeez Louise. Isaiah Thomas, that Clifton Brown told on the lounge. I don't remember when it was, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, within 2 weeks. That was an awesome clip you pulled in.
Yeah, and it was just this idea that it's like you have to imagine the worst thing possible happening to you in a game and still winning. And so that's what I hear from him, that it's like, I can't get defeated if Lamar, rushes for whatever it was he had in that first half, maybe like 50 or 60 yards in the first half alone. And it's like, I can't let that defeat me. I got to keep going. So I don't think he was giving up. However, I do want to expand on that analogy. I like the Kobe analogy because we've been using it here for a while, in that Mamba mentality that Lamar's had. But on top of it, he's got a reunion with Shaq in Lightning McKean. Okay. He's got his Shaq by his side. And so he's got to put that into his equation too. It's not that just Lamar's going to get his as Kobe Bryant would, but Lamar and King, aka Kobe and Shaq, are going to get theirs. And hopefully what they get is a Super Bowl eventually.
More quick hits roll on. And in this case, it's Derrick Henry responding to, speaking of analogies, we all remember the Cars mention that made its rounds around the internet in Lamar Jackson's post-game interview, referring to Derrick Henry as Lightning McQueen from the movie Cars, and courtesy of Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner. Here is Derrick talking about what he prefers.
I don't want to be called anything else but McQueen, so don't call me Derrick, just call me McQueen. No, I'm kidding. It was funny. I didn't think that would be the comparison, but L is L. I told him he needed to be comedian when he's done playing, but I definitely got a kick and a laugh out of that.
Are you telling me he has to watch more movies, or
Say it again?
You telling me he has to watch more movies other than Pixar? Or?
No, I just made sure. I said, "Were you serious in that?" He was, "I was dead serious." I was like, "Okay then, well, McQueen it is." But it was funny. I don't know who he was talking to. He said it might be too old to watch the movie, but I'm sure everybody knows about the good child. I mean, everybody seems like McQueen.
I love that he's just embracing it. Don't call me Derrick, just call me McQueen.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all I want. He's just having fun, man. He's leaning into all this. Like, he's just showing his personality.
Yeah.
I can't speak to the from a Tennessee perspective, but you wonder if he ever had this kind of fun publicly in Tennessee.
And Bobby, in this next clip, I'm just going to fast forward to the end because that's the most important part. He was asked about hitting in the cold. He was a little bit passionate in his answer. Here we go.
Enjoy running in the cold weather? Do you think that's a benefit for you?
100 times. I don't care if it's cold, hot, rainy, or snow. You got to do my job.
Derrick, how much does...
Ooh.
Good. Woo! Talk about chilly. I wonder if it's cold in that locker room. He's putting out some cold vibes. Here we go again.
The week to make it happen in the game.
Do you enjoy running in the cold weather? Do you think that's a benefit for you?
100 times. I don't care if it's cold, hot, rainy, or snow. You got to do my job.
Yeah.
I just want to do my job. I've been asked this 100 times. He doesn't care. Then the other thing he said, he had the same kind of attitude as Lamar, which was kind of like no nonsense when they were talking to the media today. So if somebody else was trying to have fun with him and, talking about how so many the Ravens are delivering stiff arms. including that Isaiah Likely one where he dribbled a dude's head like a basketball. And so, they asked him, like, are other players asking you for advice? Listen to this. Henry says, I'm not the stiff arm coordinator.
Dude he's ice cold, man. He really is.
Icy. I'm not the stiff arm coordinator. He is not in the mood for none of this. That man just wants to get to the game. Can I please stop doing these interviews with the media? I do not want to be here. I don't want any more team meetings. Let me just go hit somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Jerry Coleman found out the hard way there. He was the second video that we shared courtesy of his in locker room reporting there. And I've been asked this question a million times. Like he wants none of that. The Ravens have officially passed the Cowboys as the winningest franchise in terms of win percentage in NFL history, 0.5738. Dallas at 0.736, so they can continue helping that number out with a couple more wins here down the stretch.
It's a good franchise, Bobby. It's an excellent franchise.
It is.
The most winningest franchise in NFL history. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We shared this earlier on, Ed Reed's comments on the Kay Adams show, which of course went stupid viral. And we also shared our Darius Washington's comments on the weather, which brings us to Roger Rosengarten, Sarah, and a follow-up to his request from a couple weeks ago when he had an in Hard Knocks moment that went viral with Myles Garrett.
That was good. I know my guy Lamar probably helped me out a little bit. So, yeah, I'm still looking for my boy Troy. I can't even get my own teammates from UW jerseys. So.
Confirming that the Myles Garrett jersey, Sarah, did indeed make its way to Roger Rosengarten's P.O. box at One Winning Drive.
It's funny, Bobby, because in that clip right there, even you still get a rookie vibe from him. You know what I mean? Where like the whole point of the clip is the original clip when he's talking to Myles Garrett, he's like, I know I'm a nobody. And Myles Garrett's like, you're not a nobody. And like right there, he's still just not comfortable in front of the cameras. Yeah. Like this guy is out there stopping TJ Watt and Myles Garrett from getting to his quarterback as a rookie. And he's still just like uncomfortable in front of the lights. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I think Lamar helped me get it. I'm still a nobody. You know what I mean?
Exceptional rookie season from him. And to your point, he's still so newly minted, even when it comes to the media coverage side of things. So congratulations to him. That was courtesy of Karita Parks, who's out there in the locker room getting after it. And by the way, who's he referring to with his teammate?
Troy. I don't know. Troy.
Who's Troy?
Troy, right?
Who the heck is Troy?
Roster.
Are we not?
Is it like maybe a former teammate of his that is on another team? Like Ravens roster. Let me do a search on the page. Is there anybody named Troy?
Anybody get that? Are we just missing it?
There's no Troys coming up on this roster. Troy Franklin. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows for real.
Interesting. Well, Thor says he said try, but I didn't. Oh,
Troy. Okay, that makes sense. That. See, my hunch was on Troy Franklin, Broncos, who's on the Broncos, but was his Washington former teammate.
I got you.
Okay.
And think about what he was doing last year. Roger Rosengarten was competing for a title with, well, not this time last year, but he was protecting Michael Penix's blind side. Troy Franklin, by the way, for anybody who's wondering, was a 4th rounder back in April, and he is a member of the Denver Broncos.
Wide receiver.
Did he transfer from? Wait a second.
See, now some people are saying it's Troy. Yeah, now some people are saying Troy. How do you say his last name? Fontenot?
Fa'utanu. Okay.
Fa'utanu. Wow, I was way off.
Okay, now it's
making
two and
sense.
Two together. Okay, he went to Pittsburgh. Yeah. So Fa'utanu went to Pittsburgh. He was the big lot, like he was a big deal. Remember, we did a lot of studying on him, which is why I was able to rip off that last name with no problem. He was the 20th overall pick back in April.
Yeah.
Went to Pittsburgh. I think he was banged up this year. I want to say he
Fautano was?
Yeah, he didn't play much for them. I think he was injured. But anyway, thank you, Troy Franklin. We're like doing some serious prognosticating here on who Troy could be. But now we know Troy Fautano. Clearly, we studied him hard throughout the draft. You and I had plenty of coverage on him leading up to the draft. But now we know we've cracked the puzzle, cracked the code, and now
We
it's
didn't
time
crack
to
it. We had to be like given the code.
basically, yeah. Thank you to chat.
But first, we were given the wrong code.
Thank you to chat. That went right over our heads there, which is really should not have happened.
Okay.
Trent says, went to my first Baltimore game against the Steelers this regular season. I see the King going for 200 come Sunday. Keep the pressure on Allen. #Vault. #Vault Dwellers. And Devil Dog following up with you on his point earlier.
Yeah, he says, yeah, my point with Sheffers isn't that bad at all.
Sod Blitz 34. Monken is great at X's and O's, but mid at play calling. Not sure about that one, Sod. Not a fan for you.
I don't know how you can say that with the year that the Ravens have had.
How about the last 2 years?
Seriously. I mean, you got to take out the AFC Championship game, obviously, but which is a big game. But I mean, everything else, you just like when you're the number one scoring offense, you can't say that your coordinator's not a good like a play caller. Not to me anyway. All right, not a fan. Lamar going to swerve and bend that corner. Whoa.
Sea King again. Don't matter if it's cold, hot, raining, snowing.
Woo.
Somebody's parent's going to be feeling some type of way when I get my hands on him. Lightning McHenry. He's already feeling good.
McHenry, McKing. This can go all day long.
As we approach the 48-hour countdown, he is feeling good. Our patrons, I'm sure, are feeling good as well. We appreciate them, and this is their monthly shout-out. Nishad and Kelly, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate you for the support that you give us on a monthly basis. It goes directly towards our daily efforts to bring you year-round daily Ravens-related content. You guys can do the same if you're interested in joining the Vault Patreon community by visiting the show notes or typing in patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. A special thanks to Mando for the continued support and sponsoring this live stream and for the next couple months of being online with us. Dave sends in another one on the way out. Derrick Henry, the stiff arm coordinator. That is a hysterical quote. It honestly is. Only the King can pull that off. Partner, I hope you have an awesome time in Atlanta. I am heading north tomorrow. For those of you who are still looking for maybe an opportunity to pull off something last minute, Brian Snyder, Be More Around Town, he's still got day trip options there. He opened up a bus, literally like his initial trip, which is the 2-day, 2-night thing that I'm going on, sold out. And he's like, okay, well, I can't, like, that's all he could do there. He's like, but I guess I could just open up a day trip option. So some people are boarding a bus, and I know Jimmy's is doing this as well. They're boarding a bus at the crack of dawn on Sunday, and then they'll be back 24 hours later because they'll leave on the bus overnight after Sunday Night Football. So it's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to be out there. I will let you guys know what my plans are, but I'll tell you this. I'll be at Rec Room in downtown Buffalo. Or I think it's just outside of Buffalo, Saturday night. There's a pre-tailgate, pre-game day show that I'll be doing from Rec Room. And then on Sunday, I'll be at Danny's South, which is right in Orchard Park, right outside the stadium. And I think it's like a 3-hour pregame show. I'm literally going to be live all weekend long. And then, of course, you and I, as always, probably if it's 6:30, we'll be popping on around 10:30 or so for our post-game live stream, assuming it doesn't go into overtime or anything insane like that. And as we mentioned, just in case, since there's 4,000 plus of you right now, our giveaway on Sunday is the biggest yet. We've done a Ravens rug. We've done
all the homage gear.
All the homage gear. And by the way, Holly, we just got a note. I'm sure Holly's tuning in, knowing her loyalty to us. Kevin, 35 minutes ago from Homage, just placed your order. So her crew neck is on its way. So congratulations, Holly, for Wednesday's giveaway winner. We've done the Maryland flag last weekend for the wild card round. And we have
Lamar's
on Sunday
cologne.
night, we've done Lamar's cologne. Thank you. We're doing Manta sleep masks next week. And for the first time on Sunday night, a Kyle Hamilton signed football will be the giveaway. Looking forward to it.
We got 2 more super chats, but as you do that, I just want to say we're going to do our best. I will be traveling home. I will be traveling home from Atlanta Monday morning. and you're going to be traveling home from Buffalo Monday morning, correct?
I'm doing the show from a bus.
You're doing it from a bus. I'm trying to land and get back to my house. So we may need a little bit of grace Monday coming off that. I don't even know how much I'll be able to sleep on Sunday after we're up late doing the show. And then I got to get up early to hit that early flight. So we might need a little grace on Monday and that 12 p.m. start. You guys already give us grace, but we might need a little bit more on Monday. It's going to be a crazy turnaround. And
I'll just add on to the back end of that, as you and I discussed in our pre-show meeting, and as your last 12 hours plus has been insane. We love that we're able to pull this stuff off, and we always find a way, even if there's glitches, even if there's issues, even if there's stuff that we got to work through. And
Dave says no grace.
Of course, Dave, we didn't expect grace from you, but everybody else.
Yeah.
But honestly, we're going to make it work. I invested in I've been telling on my personal channel for the last couple of days, I invested in a top-notch hotspot for this trip, for this chance. And if it's a win, Monday could be a lot of fun on that bus with the amount of people that are going to be directly behind me listening.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Devil Dog wanted to know our Kansas City Houston score predictions. I honestly haven't even thought twice about it.
I think KC's going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit on that one. Maybe I'll do a prediction on tonight's live stream when I go Devil, but we're going to go both with Kansas City. I just don't trust what I trust what John McClain told us, and that was what led to CJ Stroud's sophomore slump. It was a lack of pass pro. And I think when you look at what Kansas City did really well this year, it was get to the opposing quarterback and play sound defense. And I expect them to do the same coming up on Saturday, which is really, the way this is shaping up, Sarah, is amazing, because being that they're the first game of the two AFC side of things on the divisional round, Ravens are going to know where they stand going into game day. So.
Yeah.
And Hybrid Theory 5.
Safe travels, gang. Thank you guys for all you do. Hoping the flock has a nice presence in Buffalo.
I'm sure it will.
Very nice. Thank you.
Sure it will. We appreciate you guys, as always, for just a fantastic week. We could not do this without all of you. It was awesome. There were giveaways. There were entertainment. There were travels. There were great times, and hopefully there are many more on the horizon. We want to say thank you to Mando for the opportunity to partner up with them yet again. If you want to help out the show and you want to help out potentially your body odor at the start of this new year, you can go visit the show notes. Hit that link that's a pinned comment in the live chat and enhance that body odor.
The way you just slid that in there in the middle of your that was funny.
You never know.
You want to help your body odor.
We appreciate you guys. Partner, have an awesome time. Give Aiden my best.
All right.
And for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Friday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. Look for a number of repurposed content pieces dropping in the next several hours, including our Bills-Ravens preview with Buffalo team reporter Maddy Glab, who was kind enough to spend some time with us well over an hour ago at this point. And that's when
we're done.
We gotta go. Appreciate you guys. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the vault. We'll catch up with you soon.